All right, so this is probably the most requested video as of right now. As you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be going over the full guide for the brand new fabulous rod. Go ahead and get comfortable. This is going to be quite the treacherous experience. And realistically, a lot of you that are probably watching this video have more than likely already started on this, and you've gotten a small taste of what's to come for this entire quest line. With that being said, let's waste no more time and get started on this. Now, for those of you that are new to the game, this is going to be located inside of Mariana's Veil, more specifically the Calm Zone, which is literally the final zone inside of Mariana's Veil. So if you haven't completed that, I'll have a video that pops up on the top right hand side right now, which is my Mariana's Veil full guide video. If you want to, you can go on YouTube and search Fisch Mariana's Veil Guide Carbon Meister, and it'll basically be the top video. I think it has like 1 million views or something like that. Follow along with that step by step, and you will eventually arrive to this area right here, which is pretty much the final zone. To begin this, you need to gain access to pretty much the secret area behind Calm Zone, which is not really secret. It's more like a secondary area. You basically just go to where the innkeeper is, travel to this tunnel right here, and then make your way up to the very top. Just keep in mind that once you do end up crossing this entire puzzle that we're about to do right here, which is really not that difficult, especially with all the gliders that we have today, you are required to have 3 specific fish. I'll go over that once we reach that point, but for right now, all you basically want to do is just sort of jump up here, then jump over to this side. You can use sort of like the crystal method. I've never personally used that, but again, you can. I just personally know how to do this one right here, where you just basically keep jumping up to here onto this ledge, climb all the way to the very top, and then from this point right here, just pretty much use your glider all the way across, passing all of these little platforms so you don't have to deal with those falling platforms. Now, this is the point where you are going to need those 3 specific fish. Starting from the right-hand side, you will need a frozen leviathan. In the center, you're going to need a crowned anglerfish. And then on the far left-hand side, you will need a magma leviathan. Again, follow the entire guide. It explains how you get these, where you get them, what you need, and the easiest way to do it. At this point, you will now have gained access to the secondary area, which looks just like this. Our next goal is going to be to get to this catwalk that is right up here, which is located as soon as you walk in to the left-hand side. Just go ahead and follow towards these crystals right here. You're going to see this sort of little slope going up here. Keep going straight up and then turn up and climb up this spike here. At the very top of the spike, you turn around and just pretty much glider over to this side. Then go to the right side, climb up here. Once you're up here, you have now officially made it to where the NPC is to get started with the fabulous rod. Speaking to the fabulous deity is basically going to go ahead and give you a full rundown on basically the treacherous journey that you are about to endure. I will warn you ahead of time, this is not easy. It is going to take a very long time. Besides the fact that you are also required to be level 1597 in order to even begin this quest. Yes, it is that exact level. I know it's kind of random, but that's what they decided to do. Either way, at this point on the top left-hand side, you will see that you have officially began the quest, and right off the very start, it is not an easy task. For step 1, you need to find yourself a shiny, sparkling handfish. For step 2, you need to get yourself a sunken, mutated shark. And for step 3, you need to get yourself a sparkling Nova frozen walnut. Would like to also point out that for the handfish, you need to get 2 of those. Starting with the handfish, you want to make our way over to Mush Grove. You can basically fish anywhere here. Just keep in mind that you are chasing after a handfish, or specifically 2 of them, that have shiny and sparkling as well. Once you've successfully done this twice, you will notice in the top left-hand side that you have officially completed that portion of the quest. Now, as far as an easy way to being able to complete the actual handfish, a couple of good options is to use the seraphic rod with the blessed and glittered enchant on it, while also obviously using either a sparkling totem or a shiny totem. Or I guess you could also wait for a Knight of the Luminous to spawn as well if you want that. Another good alternative from what I've heard is also the Destiny rod, using obviously the same exact enchant, but it's really completely up to you, whatever works in your case, as long as you're able to get those 2 handfish. So now, let's move on to the next thing, which is a sunken mutated shark. Now for the next one, you will need to make your way over to depths. As you can see right here, the sunken mutated shark. I do want to apologize. There is an absolute darkness event going on right now, so it's actually really dark in here. But as you can see, we are inside of the depths. This is where you're going to find the mutated shark. And of course, you are going to need the sunken rod. So this is probably going to be the one that's a little bit more complicated, just simply because it is very difficult to get your hands on that sunken rod. We've gone over this multiple times. You get this basically from the treasure chest when you complete treasure maps in the game. So yeah, it's pretty much just purely RNG to get this. It's kind of unfortunate. As for your enchants for this one, it's really completely up to you. All you're chasing after is that 5% chance of being able to get a sunken mutated shark. Now, as you would imagine, the next one up is the frozen walnut, specifically with the Nova and sparkling mutation on it. For this one, we'll need to travel over to our favorite place, a northern expedition, specifically inside of the overgrowth caves. As you travel up the mountain, you will eventually come across this little cave right over here. This is basically where you want to spend your time. Don't worry, you don't really need the cloak or basically the oxygen tank because we're not really high enough in the mountain where that's going to affect you. So you should be pretty good when it comes to that. Obviously, as you guys know, to get the Nova, you need to either have two things. You can take the easy route by getting the Rod of the Cosmos, which is technically unobtainable now. So you either have it or you don't have it. And then the second option is obviously to have the Starfall totems, or wait for a starfall to happen. Quite the tedious task, I know, but once you've done all three of these, you have officially completed the first step. Now let's travel back to the fabulous deity so that we can go ahead and move on to step 2. Now at this point, we're going to go ahead and talk to him again. He's going to say, having a fabulous time. I'm going to say, I completed it. Fabulous. Then go ahead and talk to him again. Splendid work, Fisher. I can barely, blah, 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 blah. He's going to go ahead and yap for a while now here. Now we move on to the second step, which I hope you had fun with the first one, because now we need to get ourselves 200 Dumbo Octopus, 1 ancient depth serpent with the sunken mutation, as well as 1 Voltfish that is shiny and that also has the rainbow cluster mutation. As I said before, it gets worse. Now, starting with the Dumbo Octopus, there's really no secret or sort of trick here. It's kind of straightforward. You come to Roslet Bay and you pretty much fish. That's literally it. It's just more of like a tedious quest because you do need to get 200 of them. All right, so now that we're a little bit over halfway with the Dumbo Octopus, I figured that we move on and do the other two just to sort of take a little bit of a break from that. And I want to move into getting the Voltfish, which is found over here at Sunstone. Specifically, we have to get this with shiny as well as the rainbow cluster mutation. There's basically 2 ways that you can go ahead and do this. And that's obviously by fishing during a rainbow, or if you have the rainbow cluster rod, which it seems like a lot of people don't have, mainly because when this was released, it was around the dark times of fish. Using that rod without a rainbow is a 20% chance to be able to get the mutation, and during a rainbow, that bumps up to a 35% chance. So I'll give you guys the really quick breakdown on being able to get this. For starters, you come to Castaway Cliff. As soon as you arrive here, this is the shipwright. We're going to go ahead and travel this direction over here, sort of climb up on the ladder that's on the opposite side over here of the pond, climb up the second ladder, climb up the third one, and then you're going to see this little house over here that's green. Again, make sure that a rainbow is active, or obviously use maybe a rainbow totem if you did get this from maybe like the angler. Go ahead and activate your rainbow, and then right to the left side of this greenhouse, you're going to find all of these broken down like wood and stuff like that. Just sort of like work your way on the other side of this and then drop down in. You'll be teleported into a room that probably a lot of you have seen, mainly because I've seen it in my comment section. So many of you guys telling me that you were teleported inside of this room for a split second when you were loading into the game. But yes, that's basically this room right here, and it is where the rainbow cluster rod is sold for 250,000. Please, as I mentioned before, I'm going to mention it again in case you decided to fast forward through that part. In order to access this room, you need to do it during a rainbow. If their rainbow is not active, you cannot access this room. All right. Now let's go back to Sunstone. And there you go. You should be able to go ahead and get your hands on your shiny rainbow clustered Voltfish. Once you obviously make a couple of adjustments, like for example, obviously blessed, glittered, make sure that a rainbow is active to increase that chance. And of course, a shiny surge will make your life a little bit easier. Not really required, but again, all of these things are just to really make your life easier. All right, next one here on the list is the Ancient Depth Serpent with the Sunken Mutation. not really much I need to explain here. Obviously, it's inside of depths. The only real kicker is in the event that some of you are new, which actually it just ended literally a couple seconds ago, but absolute darkness needs to happen inside of here for you to be able to fish the ancient depth serpent. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably gonna take me a while, so I'll just go ahead and fast forward to the moment that we're done with all of this, now that we've pretty much gone over everything, and we'll get started on the next step. All right, so we can now officially head back to the fabulous deity. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know. Talk to him and then say I completed it, where he will once again say fabulous. Then we can move on to step number 3. For this one, we're going to need to get ourselves 3 spectral serpents with the sunken mutation, 50 baby pond emperors, and 1 brine phantom with sparkling and the sunken mutation. So, yeah, man, just when you think that it can't get any worse, it literally just continues to get worse. Which I would like to point out that there is another step after this. Now, as you can see, we are currently inside of the brine pool, which is exactly in Desolate Deep. In case you aren't aware on how to actually get here, right over there is the Desolate Pocket. I feel like a lot of you should be more than familiar with this area already, just simply because we had the whole entire luminescent caverns. But yeah, we're basically right up here. As soon as you make your way up through this whole entire little obstacle course, which really the only part is when you get to about right here, because you have to use a glider, jump across, and then use a glider again and jump across. Then you can finally climb up. But besides that, it's pretty straightforward to find the brine pool. Once you're here, sort of travel through this entire little cave here, and then you're pretty much good to go. I'm going to be honest, I don't think I need to explain this too much. So many people figure out how to get here because this is also the same place where you would buy something like the Aurora Totem. But anyways, with that being said, we've got ourselves our sunken rod with invincible as well as glittered, because we basically have to catch 2 different fishes inside of here, so we're kind of knocking both of them out right now. But you definitely have to keep in mind that you are going after quite literally the rarest fish in this entire area. Once upon a time, the spectral serpent was the rarest and hardest fish to get in the entire game before we had, you know, all of these insane rods that we have now. There was a point in time where people would come in here and fish for 16 hours or sometimes even 3 days and still not be able to get the spectral serpent to spawn. With that being said, let's go ahead and knock out these 2, and then we'll move on to the baby pond emperor, and I'll show you guys where to get that. All right, so the next one on our list is going to be the baby pond emperor. In total, we have to get 50 of these, and basically the location where you want to find these is over here at Snowcap. You're going to sort of just follow along with me here. It's going to be a bit of a travel, but ultimately what we're doing is basically making our way up the mountain here. So just sort of follow along on the path. You quite literally can't get lost. As soon as you reach this point, instead of going around the side here, you're going to keep going upwards, and right up here, you're going to find this little pond off to the side. This is where you are going to be spending all your time going after all 50 of the baby pond emperors. With that being said, I'll be back for the next step. All right, so we are officially back. Let's go ahead and turn in the 3rd one. At this point, we will now officially begin the grand finale for the fabulous rod. For this, we need to get ourselves 1 crystallized sea dragon with shiny and the rainbow cluster mutation, which at this point, you should have the rainbow cluster rod that we got for the Voltfish. Next, you're going to need 1 Scylla with the sunken mutation. And finally, you need to get yourself a shiny mosaic whale shark, not caught. You can pretty much just get this anyway. You just have to bring it back to the NPC. So let's go ahead and get started with our list here. So starting with the first one, it is going to obviously be the crystallized sea dragon with shiny as well as the rainbow cluster mutation on it. I obviously don't need to go over this again because you guys fully understand how to do both of these. And as I'm sure you guessed it, it is inside of the comm zone, literally right underneath where the NPC is for the Fabulous Rod quest. Pretty straightforward. And honestly, I think even these next 3, I don't really need to explain it because for the most part, they're fairly obvious on how to get these. But the next one up on our list is going to be the sunken Scylla, which is probably going to be an absolute nightmare for a lot of you guys. Remember, I do have that full Mariana Veil guide on my channel that'll go ahead and explain everything to you guys, including this puzzle back here that you will need to unfortunately complete in order to gain access to the Scylla. So definitely keep that in mind and go and check the guide out if you have no clue what to do here. All right, so once you've gone ahead and gotten the sunken Scylla, you can move on to basically the final step. This one is going to require you to get a whale shark with mosaic and shiny on it. Now, as I'm sure you guys guessed it, the appraisal is basically going to be your best friend in this situation. Wish I had a better better solution, but this is pretty much it. Maybe someone else will have a better solution in the comment section. But yeah, once you've gone ahead and done this, now we just travel back to the fabulous NPC and we go ahead and finally put this to rest. Go ahead and hold your whale shark in your hand, talk to the NPC, and he's going to say, do you have a shiny mosaic whale shark? Here it is. Fabulous. Thank you. And there you go. You have now officially completed it. Talk to him one more time. Congratulations, Fisher. You've done it. You are truly fabulous. After all this fishing you've done, I think you finally have proven your worth. But with that, I bring unfortunate news. That actually wasn't the last task. Did I fool you? I'm only kidding. Dude, imagine people would be tweaking when they see that. But anyways, you will have this prompt right here, which will then give you the good old fabulous rod with, of course, the fabulous title. As you can see right here, the stats are 100% lure speed, 500% luck, 0 control, resilience, 50% with an infinite max kg. Remember that if you do use the in-game code big update soon, this is actually going to give you a skin for the fabulous rod. So as you can see right here, this is the secret skin for it. It is called the Minty Fab. And now you officially have kind of like a new version of it. I mean, it's sort of like reskinned, but like it's sick, dude. It's green. You guys will probably remember that I mentioned that I really wasn't going to like the pink version of it, and I more than likely wouldn't have used it very often. But this green one is definitely a W in my book. And I mean, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. It used to belong to green, so why would it not be this color? Now, as for when you have this in your hand, it does sort of change kind of like your stance. It's actually pretty cool. If we take a look over here at the bar, it does have a slash as a passive, and it also gives you the fabulous mutation. This is what that looks like right here. But honestly, man, overall, it's actually a really good rod. I mean, the slashes are insanely consistent, super frequent. And I don't know, man, I personally think it's kind of OP, but I do know that some people think otherwise. It also has that kind of like secondary portion where it seems to increase the control bar and make the progression go really fast. I kind of want to catch something that's a little bit more difficult. So let's go ahead and put this to the test here with absolutely no enchants whatsoever up against the Scylla. Let's see how this performs. All right, so we got it, but keep in mind that we are talking about Carbon here, by far the worst person that could fish this up. I mean, I literally have a track record of losing a Scylla with a dev rod. So look at this, dude. Look at that progression. It has like this little random, it has like a random burst of progression. So it does 2 slashes, and then the third slash is like this huge burst of progression. Dude, that is actually super sick. What in the world? I mean, bro, if I can catch a Scylla with this with no enchants whatsoever, this has to be good. I mean, I'm literally trash. I don't know, man. I'll leave it up to you guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. That is pretty much the entire full guide, so you can get your hands on this. I know it's not really as helpful as me just kind of handing you the rod, but hopefully for some of the newer players, it does go ahead and help you out. And of course, you guys got to see what it looks like at the very end. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.